Hello, everyone. This is Professor Joseph Holbrook. We're continuing in our series on Introduction to Christianity, and we're currently reviewing the Middle Ages. This week, week 5, we're going to finish up with the Middle Ages. Next week, we will deal with the Renaissance, and then the week after that, we'll start into the period of Reformation. So today, let's talk about the latter Middle Ages. So let me just jump in. The late Middle Ages. Christian History and Introduction from Alistair McGrath, published in 2013, Chapter 2, Medieval Religious Thought, Scholasticism. So our outline for, we probably won't get through all of this. We'll probably get through half of it today and half of it in the next session. But the outline to finish up the latter Middle Ages, the Avignon Papacy and the Great Schism, which I prefer to call the Western Schism because the book also calls the 1054 split between the Eastern Orthodox and the Western Roman Catholics the Great Schism. So to avoid confusion, I'll be calling it the Western Schism. The rise of conciliarism, the rise of Russia as a Christian nation, Waldenses, Hussites, and Wycliffites, modern devotion, brethren of the common life, popular religion, the cult of the saints, the rise of the Ottoman Empire, and the fall of Constantinople. So that'll be our guide, our outline for the next 2 sessions to finish this up. I believe, I've forgotten who this is, so I'm so sorry. I put a picture in here. It probably was St. Thomas, supposed to be St. Thomas Aquinas or someone, but I do not recall. My bad. Many accounts of the history of the Middle Ages make a distinction between the High Middle Ages, which are from 1100 to 1300, and the latter Middle Ages, 1300 to 1500. The High Middle Ages were a period of cultural renewal and sort of a mini Renaissance, and the latter Middle Ages were a period of decay or stagnation, leading up to a break that begins what we consider to be the modern period. Western Europe experienced the Great Famine of 1315 and the Black Death from China, which arrived in the late 1320s and hit its peak in 1348. So some estimates suggest that the population of Western Europe may have reduced by some 200 million people. That is 30% of the population. Think about it. We just came through the pandemic, and in the United States, 1 million people died. That's way too many out of a nation of 340 million. But consider what it would be like for Europe with 200 million people to lose 30% of the population. That would be devastating. So this is the high point of papal power and authority. The election of popes was a contentious matter in the Middle Ages, potentially open to manipulation by political and familial power groups. While the Gregorian reforms had sought to minimize this danger, it never really disappeared. Some scholars believe that the high water mark of papal political influence was reached in November 1302 when Boniface the Eighth issued the bull Unum Sanctum, in which he proclaimed that every human creature is subject to the Roman pontiff. That is pretty self-absorbed. Avignon Papacy and Schism. So a power struggle now developed between the French and Italian cardinals over who should succeed Benedict. After nearly a year of wrangling, the French Archbishop of Bordeaux was elected Pope, and he took the papal name Clement V. One of his first acts was to move the papacy from Rome out of Italy to the southern French city of Avignon. The Avignon Papacy would continue until 1377, by which time it had become widely discredited as a tool of the French monarchy. Politics, man. So the 7 Avignon popes, all French, were Clement V, John the 22nd, Benedict the 12th, Clement the 6th, Innocent the 6th, Urban the 5th, and Gregory the 11th. So this is a 70-year captivity of the papacy in France. So this leads to what I'm calling the Western Schism. It's also known as the Great Schism, but it's a schism within the Western Church, not to be confused with the schism between the Eastern and Western halves of the Church in 1054. So following Gregory's death in early 1378, a papal conclave met in Rome to choose a successor. The building was surrounded by a mob demanding an Italian pope. This is after 70 years of French popes. So the cardinals gave in and elected Urban VI. Although initially liked, Urban gained a reputation for arrogance, and in 1378 they declared his election invalid. The French cardinals proceeded to elect a Frenchman and reestablished the Avignon Papacy with Clement VII as Pope, while Urban remained in Rome maintaining the legitimacy of his election. So now we have 2 popes. The situation continued for nearly 40 years and led to a dwindling respect in the institution of the papacy. How could the absolute power be entrusted to such an institution, which had clearly become open to corruption and the exercise of improper influence? But what was the alternative? As we shall see, the Western Schism promoted many to explore other models of church government, and the most important of which was conciliarism. Conciliarism, if there's 2 claimants to the papacy and no human authority was to be recognized as superior to the papacy, how could things be sorted out? Well, they wouldn't have this problem if they had found a resolution to the Great Schism of 1054, because then they would have a council of patriarchs along with the Pope to sort things out. But unfortunately, that's not how history unfolded. There seemed to be no existing mechanism by which the conflict could be resolved. Was the traditional system of focusing power on the Pope really the best model of ecclesiastical governance? What if authority within the church was not invested in a single individual, but a group of accountable individuals? In other words, a council. In other words, what they had before 1054. Conciliarism in the early church. The movement was widely known as conciliarism and was held to be the ultimate focus of authority within the church, which would be a general council. I inserted in here the Jerusalem Council, which is referred to in the book of Acts. I believe it's Acts chapter 15. And the book points out the example of the Council of Nicaea, which was convened by Constantine in the year 325. Faced with papal authoritarianism of the 14th century, many senior church figures came to the conclusion that the notion of absolute papal authority needed checks and balances if abuse was to be avoided. Even the University of Paris got involved. After studying the situation, University of Paris declared that the schism could be ended in 3 ways. First, 2 rival popes could renounce the office unconditionally, clearing the way for a new election by an accountable and acceptable means. Secondly, the matter could be resolved by each pope agreeing to an impartial arbitrator who would resolve the issue. Thirdly, a general council might meet to discuss the issue and issue a binding recommendation. So the plot thickens. Clement's death in September 1394 gave the conciliarists an opportunity. However, in the end, nothing came of it. 2 weeks after Clement's death, Pedro de Luna was unanimously elected as Pope by the 24 cardinals at Avignon, taking the name Benedict VIII. A letter from the King of France requesting that the cardinals not proceed to an election was deliberately not opened until after the decision had been reached. Neither Benedict III nor Benedict VIII nor Gregory VIII was willing to give up his claim to the papacy. In the end, a group of disaffected cardinals decided to take the initiative. They convened a council at Pisa in 1409 with the explicit objective of seeking a resolution of the contested papacy. Benedict VIII and Gregory VIII called rival councils hoping to discredit Pisa. And the result was Alexander V. In the end, a large and representative body of bishops gathered in Pisa to hear the case for each of the rival claimants. After due consideration, the council declared that both had shown themselves unfit for this high office, and both were deposed. In their place, the council elected Alexander V. It seemed that the matter was resolved. You would think, but you would be wrong. And a new principle had been established that the General Council had authority over popes. Then there were three. Alexander V had a rather different ideas on this question and promptly began to exercise the same authoritarian rule that had given birth to conciliarism in the first place. His death in 1410 led to the election of John the 23rd, but not to the resolution of the issue. For following the death of Alexander, there were now three claimants for the papacy: Benedict VIII, Gregory VIII, neither recognized, and John the 23rd. Sigismund and Martin V. So impatience with the situation was widespread. Another reforming council was convened by John the 23rd from November to April, from November 1414 to April 1418. Sigismund, the King of Germany and later the Holy Roman Emperor, attended the council and made clear his support for its final decision that all three popes should resign, opening the way for a fresh election. Yet the new pope, Martin V, had little enthusiasm for conciliarism and found it relatively easy to revert to traditional ideas of absolute papal authority. So you can imagine that this 100 plus years fiasco of the Avignon Papacy and then the two popes and then three popes really damaged the credibility of the Roman Catholic Church in Western Europe. And this is, by this time it's 1418, it's only about 100 years before Martin Luther nails his 95 Theses to the door of the church. Orthodox Christianity became established. Now we're going to talk about Russia. And Orthodox Christianity was established as the dominant religion of the area known as Kievan Rus during the 10th century. Notice, if you're following the headlines today, Kiev is the capital city of Ukraine. And that was the capital of Orthodox Christianity for Russia, was in Kiev. The Russian church was headed by the Metropolitan of Kiev, the traditional metropolitan center. Yet this entire region was threatened during the 13th century as Mongol armies under Genghis Khan and his successors moved westwards. The Mongol invasions of the 1220s hastened the decline of Kiev and the breakup of the Kievan Rus into three separate regions. The Mongols defeated the army of the Rus at the Battle of the Kalka River. However, they did not press home their advantage. So in 1238, with the forces of Rus were defeated once more at the Battle of the Sit River. This time, the region was subjected to Mongol rule. The Kievan Rus ceased to exist. Its constituent territories began to develop in different directions, eventually leading to the formation of three regions now known as Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. So the most important of these is generally agreed to have been the relocation of the metropolitan center of Russian Orthodoxy to Moscow. Although Moscow was seen as subordinate to Constantinople, it became clear that Constantinople's future was threatened by Turkish expansion. In 1448, the Council of Russian Bishops declared the independence of the Russian Church from Constantinople and appointed its own metropolitan bishop with the title Metropolitan of Moscow. Sorry, something struck me funny there, but I shall continue. The spiritual identity of the Russian Orthodox Church was sustained by a network of monasteries. The Mongolian Empire was religiously tolerant and showed little interest in interfering with Russian affairs. Mongolian people were primarily shamanistic in their religion, and Christianity was a significant influence within the higher social classes of the empire as a result of Nestorian missions to the region. This tolerance left the monasteries free to develop as centers of mission, scholarship, and spirituality. So with the fall of Constantinople in 1453, the Russian Orthodox Church began to see itself as the Third Rome. Although some suggest that the city of Moscow itself was the successor to the cities of Rome and Constantinople, it is more accurate to view it as the nation of Russia rather than the city of Moscow. Mindful of Constantine's designation of his city as the Second Rome, more than a millennium earlier, Russian Christians came to see themselves as his true successors, the Third Rome. Here's an icon of the Trinity by Andrei Rublev, painted in the 14th century. Tsars, Kaisers, and Caesars. This trend was given added significance during the reign of Ivan III of Russia, which came in the 15th century. With the final defeat of the Mongols at the Battle of the Uka River in 1480, Russia became a dominant force. Ivan had married Sophia Paleolog, the niece of Constantine the 11th, the last Byzantine emperor. The rulers of Russia began to refer to themselves as emperors. The Russian word Tsar derives from the Latin Caesar. So Grand Duke Ivan IV, called the Terrible, was proclaimed the first Russian Tsar in January 1547. And we're going to stop here and continue the next section and final section in our next session on Friday. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.